Good evening. Welcome to the Buck Stops here. I'm Vishnu Shoma. On the program this evening, Cyclone Hudhud is gaining speed. The latest forecast is for landfall tomorrow. It's been scaled up from 170 to 180 kilometers per hour, with winds gusting now up to 195 kilometers per hour. The landfall wind speed for tomorrow was earlier forecast to be between 130 to 140 kilometers per hour. That's gone up. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today chaired an emergency high-level meeting to review preparedness for Cyclone Hudhud. The meeting was attended by the Cabinet Secretary, the Principal Secretaries, the Prime Minister, the Home and Defence Secretaries and other senior officials from the Indian Met Department. Evacuations have begun in coastal Andhra Pradesh that is expected to bear the brunt of the cyclone that will make landfall by noon tomorrow. Its impact is likely to be felt in the districts of Visakhapatnam, Vizianagaram and Srikakulam. The heavy rain that will accompany the cyclone could cause flooding in East and West Godavari districts as well as in 5 districts of southern Odisha. As this very severe cyclone with wind speeds gusting to 195 kilometers per hour moves in the direction of Andhra Pradesh and South Odisha, we ask, are we ready to face this potential disaster? Winds are already picking up. The cyclone will make landfall tomorrow. Is Andhra Pradesh prepared? Is Orissa prepared? Is India prepared? Well, the situation now is getting difficult at the very least. The wind speeds have started picking up. Uma Sudhir joins me now from Visakhapatnam. Alok Pandey is to the north of where Uma is. He's in the Ganjam district of Orissa. The cyclone will make landfall somewhere in this area. Uma, let me come to you first. Firstly, what is the immediate position where you are right now?
Vishnu, I'm in Bhimunipatnam, somewhere near Visakhapatnam. A little north of Visakhapatnam is where we are expecting landfall around noon tomorrow. All through the day we were talking about a calm before the storm, and right now the winds are slightly beginning to, the breeze is slightly beginning to blow, I would say, and it's been drizzling. It's not even begun to rain in a big way. People are, the authorities are trying to mobilize maximum numbers of people, but with the weather not really looking very bad yet, it's very difficult to convince people to come away from their homes and stay at the rescue centers. Here we are in fact at this particular rescue center where there are some numbers of people who have come in from the Kacha houses, and they are in fact staying here, but this place is supposed to accommodate a few hundreds, and those few hundreds have come in, had their dinner of biryani perhaps here being served here, and they have gone back. So the authorities certainly look very, very ready for this preparation for this huge cyclone that we are talking about, but people not yet coming in big numbers. I have in fact with me a special officer who has been deputed for overlooking this rescue operation and disaster management in Andhra Pradesh, Mr. Arvind, as well as Mr. Atul Singh, who is Commissioner of the Visakhapatnam district, where we are expecting in fact this cyclone to cross. Are we prepared? This has not been technically called a super cyclone, but we are talking about 180 kilometers per hour, gusting to 195 kilometers per hour.
So as of now, if I can update the situation, the cyclone is about 250 kilometers away from the coast. It's moving west and northwesterly direction, and it is expected that by tomorrow morning and by noon, the wind speed will be anything between 150 to 170 kilometers and gushing up to 190 kilometers, accompanied by very heavy rainfall. The classification as of now also is very severe, but from the district administration side and based on the instructions of our Chief Minister, we are geared up. In fact, the district collector, police, NDRF, National Disaster Relief Force, naval authorities, railways, we are all working in tandem, and our entire effort is to ensure that the damages, likely damages, are minimized.
In fact, the leave of all the officers or all your men in uniform, or not even just in uniform, but all your government officials are all around here. In some of the centers, perhaps more government officials trying to ensure everything is running right.
We have learned from previous experiences, and we are just trying to ensure that from our side, preparations are up to the mark, and in fact, there's nothing wrong in doing kind of more than what's required. So in that sense, we have identified low-lying areas, vulnerable areas. We have opened relief camps. As you can see, food, drinking water, everything is available. People are coming, eating and going back. But tomorrow, once the severity increases, we may have to force in some of the areas the forced evacuation, especially in the low-lying areas and wherever thatched houses are there, so that people are safe, their life is safe. One of the fears they have is what will happen to their property once they leave the house. In fact, Commissioner of Police is here, and police authorities have made elaborate arrangements to ensure the security of low-lying areas.
In fact, that's one of the challenges that we were thinking about, because in the villages that we visited, they spoke about not wanting to come off, and your men and NDRF men, in fact, had to almost use force.
That's true. In fact, we discussed in detail yesterday about this aspect of convincing people to shift to safe places, and this was a main concern. So from police side, extra patrolling and pickets have been deputed only for this reason, to convince people for their safety of life and this thing. Let them move to these shelters and we will take care of their property.
In fact, Andhra Pradesh is one of those states that was always considered very well prepared for cyclones. We do have them at very, very periodic intervals. That is one of those cyclone relief centers that's been shelters that's been built in case the tide is high. People can go in and go to the first floor or even the second floor. In fact, from Phelan to now, you said huge lessons learned.
I would say from the last cyclone, which was severe, which came in Odisha, there have been some positive learnings for us. For example, this time, the deployment of National Disaster Relief Force, NDRF, we made it in time. In fact, initially yesterday there were 11 teams, each team consisting of about 45 expert personnel. And today that number of teams have increased to 24. There have been decentralized positioning throughout the district. In fact, there are expert tree cutters, medical relief, first relief providers and rescue operators. So they are spread throughout the district in all the 5 Andhra districts. Okay. And along with that, army team are available with us, naval teams are there, and JCBs, fire tenders. We have all positioned them in different parts of the district depending upon the location of the cyclone. And I guess as of now, we are ready, and let's hope for the best that we'll be able to tackle it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arvind and Mr. Atul, for joining us. In fact, earlier today, Vishnu, we did visit some of these fishing community villages along the coast and saw the challenges that the NDRF and the police, in fact, were facing in trying to move people away from there. People were very, very reluctant to move. They wanted to save their boats, which for them, it was a Hobson's choice, in fact, between life and livelihood. Warnings being given at the doorstep in coastal villages of Andhra Pradesh. National and state disaster relief teams, along with state police and district officials, worked all day to evacuate nearly 4 lakh people, identified as living in vulnerable areas. They are being shifted to 400 rescue shelters.
As far as possible, we will try to pursue without any use of any force. If they are very reluctant, then we have to use the force. There is no other way.
The NDRF is having a tough time making the fishermen vacate the beaches, because the fishermen are very reluctant to leave their boats and leave the seashore, because they are worried that if they are left unattended, they could hit against the rocks in the night and get damaged. These fishermen say they have no option but to spend the night by the sea. Each boat costs over 2 lakh rupees and they cannot afford to have it damaged. Ramulama says they have no choice but to move, but officials don't bother when livelihoods are lost.
10 కిలోమీటర్ల దూరంలోనూ ఒక జట్టి కడితే జట్టి దగ్గర తెప్పలు కట్టుకుందుకు ఏర్పాటు ఉంటుందండి. అలాగే నెక్స్ట్ టైం అంటే ఈ కమ్మలపాకలు కాబట్టి వర్షం తుఫాను వచ్చేటప్పుడు ఇలా ఎన్నో తుఫాన్లు వచ్చేయండి. అన్ని తుఫాన్లకు వచ్చేటప్పుడు కలెక్టర్, మినిస్టర్ అందరూ వస్తారు. వచ్చి చూసి వెళ్ళిపోయి మీకు ఇచ్చేస్తానంటారు. ఎవరో కూడా చేసేది లేదు, కేజీ బియ్యం కూడా ఇచ్చేది లేదండి.
The very severe cyclonic storm is expected to cross around noon on Sunday with wind speed of up to 180 kilometers per hour. Flights have been cancelled, train services suspended. The national highway is being closed. In Visakhapatnam with camera person Nagaraju, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.